gonna go live a little earlier, but this music's such a little bit of a jam that I was like, well, I'll listen to it a little bit. All right, I think we can turn it off. All right. Ourselves a Division 3 match. I was supposed to do this many hours ago, but unfortunately, I had admin work to deal with for Smash Bros, and that took quite a long time to deal with because it was very last minute and whatever. So, fortunately, I'm a little bit less energetic than I was before, but we still should be pretty good. Still expecting a pretty solid set. Meant to take a cough drop before this, but no time left at present. So, don't know what the standings are going into this, and I forget, I won't make any spoilers. At this point, I know there's 3 sets that haven't been cast yet, which is Pasta, shiXo, and Spaden, and it's just a full round robin between the 3 of them. So, I won't show any standings or anything like that either. So, because ideally, if I'd had more time and I wasn't prepping for a tournament this next week, and a full week of travel, I would want to do a full afternoon of hitting all 3, right? Because that's the way to do it, is like figure out what these games mean and go from there. But yeah, that's not happening, unfortunately, but pretty fun match here. I think I've watched shiXo play, and they're pretty solid. Pasta I haven't watched before, but I mean, Div 3 is really good, so I'm always excited for good gameplay. Just double check something on my phone. I have an idle game that I was supposed to do stuff today. I was going to set this all up and do the next stage of evolution in my idle game, but unfortunately, getting distracted for 5 hours will kind of ruin some of those plans. But we should be fine. Let's just make sure I have the thing that needs to be going. Yeah, you know what? It's good enough. It's probably not the most optimal, but oh wait, hold on. By a person. That sounded very bad, but I promise it makes sense. Mission control. Put you on there. Start the mission. Cool. That'll help get a little bit of extra stuff. I think we're all good. Cool. So, let's get underway. It is, of course, a little bit later in the day for, even for us, but I'm sure for our European friends, so not expecting too many viewers on this stream. But if you're in the chat, thanks for joining. This will be Tarnished Deathmatch, the Season 6. It will be Division 3 between Pasta and shiXo. We can get started with the map picks. So Acre, already starting out with a banger, and Serengeti, immediately countered. So I'm not the biggest fan of Serengeti, but I mean, I think shiXo is an RM player, primarily an RM player, with plenty of DM experience, clearly. But I think this shows that, like, you know, a lot of people are very comfortable on the Arabia-esque maps. So, season bans, ban Sunburn, don't want any of the shenanigans, Shoals, and we get Hyper Random. Okay. Always love to see Hyper Random, always the most exciting. Shoals and Sunburn, I mean, people just don't like water maps sometimes, and Sunburn is, I think, out of all the maps, Sunburn is the most unique in the sense of it has the most emphasis on the early rush compared to the rest, where it's like, yes, you're playing water, yes, you're playing unique units, yes, you're playing Arabia, yes, you're playing hyper random, but they're all kind of like, you have the general stage of the game, whereas Sunburn, it is so much more common that I think the early rush is so much more important. And hello, Otter. I'm sure you probably have disagreements with me there, but it feels like Sunburn is the most, it's kind of like the final destination of Smash, where it's so heavily predicated on a single dynamic, which is the early rush, that it doesn't completely remove any other element of the game, but it definitely means that you're going to see a lot less of it, and if you're not as confident about the early rush, then you probably don't want to play Sunburn. So, Aftermath, just another Arabia in my mind. Like, yeah, the markets are there, and we've seen a wood game go, but it's still, Aftermath just feels like Arabia. I think there's work that could be done on that map. Where would you disagree? My opinion is Sunburn, out of all the maps in the map pool, Sunburn is the most unique for how the game is balanced for DM. essentially all the other maps you could argue is like water, different like unique units, everything here. I think out of everything here, Sunburn is the most unique because it's the one that places the most emphasis on a single aspect of DM, whereas the rest are like it's a nice balance between opening, middle game, everything else. If the middle game if they're like different flavors of like water, hyper random and stuff, but Sunburn because you're always so close, it is the most unique in all the maps, I think, just because it is the only one that really dynamically shifts that aspect of the game. The only reason I think you would disagree is because a few of my takes have you've been very not so anti, but we have some differing opinions, and you have the much more experience. So I'm always just like, if I have an opinion on DM, a lot of times it's from lack of knowledge or something. So, um, banning immersion, banning runestones. All right, you agree with those though? Perfect. Then I'm getting there. I'm starting to have good opinions on DM. Uh, and one of those opinions is runestones is boring. At least having two runestones is boring. Um, Probably mute. Why am I getting SYF? Do that. I just every once in a while because of admin stuff, I might have to get look to the side. See SYF. Okay, so that's that. That's not anything. I'll turn on streamer mode, but I do have it on a thing, and hopefully it won't matter. But if I have to take a break to take care of some stuff, I might have to, but we shouldn't have to do that. So I'll mute my Discord so we won't get random pings, because that is obnoxious, and I don't think anyone likes that. Would you like to chat? Oh, no, my opinions aren't bad. I'm very well aware of that. It is we have differing opinions, and one of those things is you have more experience in DM, so I'm expecting some of my opinions to just be lack of knowledge, right? Because there are some opinions I have that are just like not correct because I don't have the experience. So, and outcrop, I do like outcrops. I like this map pool. I like the map pool. I think I would rather have either Serengeti or Aftermath switch for water for the most, or either water or Sunburn for the most interesting map pool. But this is definitely a better map pool because Aftermath, yes, it's kind of Arabia, but at least it has a little bit more flavor than double Arabia. So I'm excited. So starting with outcrop, so let's see some Civ bands: Turks, Persians, Chinese, Khmer, Franks, Vikings. So some weaker ones. Japanese, no Japanese there. No Dravidians, no Wu, no Hindustanis, no RM trap. Magyars, Spanish, no Shu, Georgians, and Portuguese. So some pretty solid civs there. I think a bunch of the top tier civs are still available. I think a lot of these were like very good second tier civs. We don't need a water civ this time around unless you want to count hyper random. So we will get the early bands, Mongols and Churchins. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm expecting to see Celts up here too. Bulgarians, Cumans. Because we do have Acrae, so unique unit is a thing to worry about. Malians, no Malian rush. Sicilians. Saracens and Celts? No, okay, Celts make it through. Slavs don't, though. So, pretty reasonable ban list. The Malians a little bit surprising, but especially with Sunburn gone. But I mean, Malians have. I'm sure Otter can inform me why Malians would be considered ban worthy, but I think they just have a really good early rush, right? And which would go in line with NuclearPasta not wanting to play Sunburn if he doesn't want to deal with just all-in rushes. And so that kind of lines up there. Maybe that's incorrect, but that's kind of what the vibe I'm getting. So we can see the blind ones. Huns for both players, Koreans and Celts. So interesting picks. I like this. Both of them getting kind of a powerhouse civ, SO civ. Like you could argue Celts are better, but like Koreans are definitely, I think, one of the top tier non-tier 1 civs, right? Like Koreans, everyone loves the Koreans. And then Huns are just, you can never go wrong with Huns in DM. So I could see either a double Hun snipe or the Korean Celt snipe. That's my guess. But we'll get to the actual draft. Bengalis makes sense. Bohemians. Berbers. Oh, I forgot Berbers weren't banned or anything. So Teutons. Ethiopian. Interesting. I mean, Siege Angers at Div 3 makes sense. Burmese, more elephants. Romans, people been having good results. Vietnamese, Gujaras, and Goths. The Goths is surprising, especially with no Sunburn. I mean, can we... I know we have to ban, but I do want to see what was else available right before the Goths. There's probably a way to go backwards, but... So, like, Britons... not Byzantines. Britons... Tatars... and Inca. Like, those three, I could see those being picked over Goths, right? Britons and Tatars especially with Serengeti. Um, but I mean, their Goths have a play, I guess. Um, yeah, I mean, who knows? That's an interesting pick. We'll do the snipe now. Kelton Huns. Okay, so no mirror match. RIP. I don't think have we had any mirror matches this entire tournament? I'm kind of shocked that we haven't. We've had one, or we have had them. I was forget that one can be few Slav wars. That makes sense. Out of all the mirror civs, like I think Slav makes the most sense, just because it's one of those like if they're available, both players are gonna pick them. Hun wars don't really happen anymore, and I feel like a lot of the top tier siege isn't picked by both players. But yeah, interesting. So round one is going to, or game one is going to be on Outcrop, which is Arabia, but not Arabia with spice. Breeze had one. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine mirrors happening more at lower levels simply because they're less worried about counterpicking. Because there's a lot more of, I think, at lower levels, a case of sure you might have a civ advantage or a civ win, but it's really what are you most comfortable with and who's playing better. And it's probably much later in the skill brackets where civ matchups matter more. So, get host a top tier gear tourney. I'll make a game one random mirror on hyper random. I mean, that makes sense. I do I do miss mirrors, but also I think part of the fun, especially on hyper random, is seeing how they each interact. Like that adds more fun. I think like a mirror on Arabia in my mind is more fun of a mirror match, right? Because it's like it's hyper random. Part of the fun of a hyper random is seeing how each of the civs interact with it. Whereas on Arabia or Runestones or Serengeti or any of the more standard maps, um, hyper random in a draft is a bit too much luck for Pro Tony. Yes, yeah. It would be interesting, and this is something that could be done. But like for hyper random, it could be a like preset hyper random gens. So like if you pick hyper random, you know one of the 10 maps you're gonna get, right? So it's like, you know, all the ones that we've seen. Like that's the pool of hyper random. You roll the dice and you get like 7, and that one's gonna be this one. So at least you know what the gen will be, but it is a hyper random gen. Bond to your mirrors, yeah. I think, like I said, I think if you were to do a forced mirror, I suppose that makes more sense for hyper random too. But I think hyper random or mirror on Arabia maps would be the most fun to like force a mirror match. But I also get you've talked me into understanding the mirror on hyper random. It's less fun or less unique and fun, but it is more balanced from a tourney perspective, which is a very, very valid argument. So mirror on hyper random is more fun. That's fair. I can see that. I think that's a difference, but I think purely from the tournament perspective, you're 100% right. Hyper random mirror is way more fair than hyper random civs. Mirror on RS we saw enough. Yeah, that is true. That is true. So, anyways, I think we can get into the game. Do you have any thoughts on Outcrop? I assume it's you like the mobility, but it's not super important. I could see Koreans, Vietnamese I've seen on here. I don't think it'll be Huns. Don't think it'll be Berbers. Berbers will probably be saved for hyper random. Vietnamese for Berbers. Okay. I don't think Romans. It could be Goths. I've seen Goths on this map before, and you kind of just do a Huskarl spam and try to contain them from expanding. So I've seen that. So that is a possibility. I could also see Bohemians. I've seen Bohemians on here just to do a nice push in the middle. Maps again. Starting on Outcrop, no water, Acre, hyper random, and then two runestones essentially. Derogatorily. So like hyper random, I could see Koreans or Vietnamese on hyper random is actually really strong, really solid. Viet Berbers, okay, interesting. I think Romans for Acre makes sense. Maybe Ethiopians on Acre as well, or Teutons, and then yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Let me switch to the intermission. Let's get underway because I do have food coming in an hour and 15 minutes, which might just get cold. because I'm starting a lot later than I was. I was gonna try to start at like 6:20, but all right. Oh, doing spoiler stuff. Luckily, I already have the game open. I've had the game open for 6 hours now. It's just I never got around to starting the stream because work. So, alrighty then. Let's get under. Let me just take a swig of water. Make sure everything's good. Let me turn my phone over. And let's get underway. Alrighty, welcome to Division 3 of Tarnished Deathmatch League 6. This is still the regular season. We have a battle between shiXo. Actually, I am going to just do this for my own sake. shiXo. We do have a match between shiXo and NuclearPasta. shiXo in the teal picking the Romans, and in the orange down in the south, the Gujaras picked by NuclearPasta. Oh, it's more of a hard X. shiXo. All right, shiXo it is. I'll try to remember that. But it looks like both players, the Pasta Nuclear starting with some stables and some archery ranges, and we have a chicken castle out, not being made right away, but gonna be some infantry try to counter that camel. And, yeah, going to be an infantry start from the Romans, which makes sense. Almost picks off a villager, but doesn't find anything quite yet. We see the camels already going out to the side for the Gujaras. Gujaras, of course, let me just refresh my mind. Forage bushes, chakrams, Shavamsis. Yes, that's right, they get. And they get elephants. So, interesting. Okay. So it's going to be early camels and elephant archers. All right, we're seeing elephant archers from the Gujaras. I don't think they get any necessary bonuses for the elephant archers. But, I mean, they're still elephant archers, which is pretty solid. shiXo, on the other hand, looks like it's just mostly straight infantry. We see some legionaries coming out, mixed with some... Nope, no, just straight legionaries. The only pike was at the start. So, the camels are going to have not the best engagement against the legionaries, but better than if it was just pikes. So we're going to see if any villager snipes can happen. Almost picks off that one. Unfortunate Pasta does not manage to snipe that Vil. Could probably still find it here, but good reactions from shiXo. shiXo not letting any of his Vils get sniped. Meantime, not a lot of pressure coming in on the south side for Pasta. We do see a couple of legionaries going on the south side. Might be able to pick off 2 villagers here. We'll see how the reactions are. No reaction quite yet, and shiXo's just going to run right by. Just not paying attention. Probably a little focus in the middle as the skirmishes start happening. Elephant archers and camels start engaging here. We see some crossbows and legionaries and a classic Roman battalion coming forward here. And they are going to find a villager snipe, but get killed by the castle. So missed out on some easy villager snipes. Finds one. A little bit of micro here. Nice. And just going to continue little skirmishes in the middle. With the elephant archers out of position. Don't think this is going to go too well for Pasta. shiXo's going to win this fight pretty handily. And the elephants are going to try to have to micro back, but they are very slow, and those legionaries and pokeboys are going to be chasing them down. You see some... Oh, the halberdier stays alive, but Shotgun Throw is here to clean this up, maybe. Shotgun Throw needs to get some range. The halberdier is going to chase him down, so... Just a little bit of skirmishing going on in the middle. Might snipe... You're going to snipe a bombard cannon here, which is very nice. Could even get a second one, because the second one's right there, but too many military there, and the second one gets away. So forward castles coming up, not super forward, but trying to establish control in the middle. And expansion does get denied by Pasta. So, and also over here, nothing was sent over here to defend. So Pasta finding a really nice little venue here to get a little bit of a, annoyance. And doesn't allow the setup to go up for free. But he's going to lose a bunch of villagers here if these legionaries are paying attention. Meantime, some camels raiding in the back. Castles will deal with that, but loses a few more villagers. You can see Pasta's already gotten 7 Vil kills, but he is also going to even this up right now. shiXo finds a nice 5 kills there. 6 even. So, and camels continue to stream over here and trying to stop this from going up, but the quick walls have gone up, and those camels are just attacking fortifications. So I think that's going to be able to go up. In the meantime, big fight in the middle. A lot of dead bodies around, but it's mostly just some skirmishes between the two. I don't think anyone's really trying to make too much of a push here. Those scorpions are getting kind of lured to the front. I think a lot of the attention is being focused on the sides, but they're trying to not lose too much in the middle. This castle is going to go up a little quick wall, so shiXo can try to establish his position. Yeah, this castle There's a lot of camels over here, and that's, I don't think, a very good thing for. I mean, that town center is going to be very low. But yeah, Pasta needs to run his camels away. The castle's going to go up, and these camels are going to lose a lot, especially with the halberdiers coming here to help clean this up. So loss of some units that probably doesn't want to lose necessarily. The bomber cannons trying to engage here. A little bit of skirmishers, legionnaires coming forward. Those bomber cannons are pretty far forward. A lot of elephant archers are there, and they can be pulled back. They might be able to snipe one. No, the elephant archers are dutiful, or are numerous enough to be able to prevent this. And the castle is going to help protect the rest of the bomber cannons. Scorpions in box formation, trying to get some damage onto those elephant archers. And yeah, Pasta's really going hard on trying to prevent these expansions. I mean, the villager count alone has really delayed immensely. I mean, 12 eco kills for Pasta. Delayed some TCs significantly. I mean, now he's going to establish, shiXo's going to establish some control over there, but a very nice, like, setup. Well, Pasta's down to only 100 pop versus shiXo's maxed out population, so I mean, that's a massive over army. So if shiXo really does need to make some damage happen with this massive military, or he's going to fall behind with economy. Gonna find another villager snipe here, so that's gonna be very nice to continue to deny expansions. This side trying to go up, and these villagers are gonna get absolutely massacred from these legionaries. No reaction. All the fights happening in the middle as halberdiers and the centurions start running forward. Scorpions are a little bit far out of position, but they're gonna be able to engage on these elephants. The elephants are forced back. Siege rams coming in. No trebs or anything from the Romans. So need to get the rams up on the building. And I mean, with a massive military, they're going to be able to find a place to start hitting those buildings. Meantime, a lot of villagers. The castle gets doubted. There's no villagers over here. There is one over here, but the castle getting doubted is huge. That expansion will not go up anytime soon. Loses a lot of centurions fighting under that castle against those elephants. So that's going to be a little bit rough. Hussar's going to come over here and try to engage on this. No treb hell. Yeah, I feel like a couple trebs would be nice, but like the rams are fine. But now you're not protecting them. You need your SOs, your onagers to come in, but like, oh, this is not a great fight from shiXo. shiXo is sending a bunch of elephant archers over here to try to clean this up, but they're all very weak and running into halberdiers, trying to deny some stuff. And they're going to clean this area up, but I mean, that is going to expose the front of the base. There's nothing here. There's no more elephant archers to stop this. I mean, with no trebs here, you can't have much of a push. Rams coming in to actually make this push happen. But Pasta down to 35 military. It's a very slow-moving military, and just calls GG. I mean, I guess he's out of a lot of gold, lost a lot of gold units here and there, and the massive military from shiXo really pulled off there. Oh, and it also pushing down here. I didn't see this. I think it was just the fact that Pasta ran out of gold, didn't really have, like, didn't get either of the expansions properly up, and if this castle had gone up, I think shiXo would have been better off, but yeah, I think he committed too much to try to stop. Like, I think it was just sending a lot of those camels kind of up here. Like, just up here and just, like, not be able to deny this. And then just wasting a lot of time here. And then losing a bunch to these halberdiers and the castle. Oh, don't tell me they just stay there on sand ground. No, they go forward and... yeah, it's just losing a lot of camels for free. They could have been elsewhere. So. Oh, and then they engage here. Oh, that's so bad. Yeah. Like, yeah, camels aren't really, like, the do-or-die unit in this matchup. But, like, that's just throwing away so many units there that you don't really want to, right? So, a couple of bad fights from Pasta, and shiXo takes the first game. So, well done from shiXo. You can look at the statistics, but I don't think there's really too much there. It was just shiXo really massed up the military, did nothing on economy, and kind of went off the back of that. And then, yeah, need Chakram and Shravamsha here. Yeah. I think Camel's elephant archers seemed like the elephant archers seemed fine until the meat shield went away, and also just they couldn't help reinforce anywhere, right? You just didn't have the speed. That's the problem with elephants. You have no speed to be able to reposition. So the moment they went to go try to clean up the side expansion, shiXo was able to push in the middle. So, yeah, I think Pasta just didn't have the best opening. I mean, it looked like Pasta was going into this game, regardless of anything, I'm doing camels and elephant archers and BBCs. I don't think Pasta really planned on anything else. And then the civ that shiXo had meant that that was not a good play. So, cool. let's go into the second game, intermission. Once again, I see a ping in Discord, so let me just check that real quick. Oh, security. Cool. Okay. Cool. Let me pull up the next game. Right. Just had to make sure that I wasn't showing the wrong thing. All right. Game number 2 is going to be on Hyperrandom. We are immediately starting on there. And looks like that's all good. There we go. Cool. All right, so game 1 was the Gujaras losing to the Romans on Outcrop. The next map is going to be Hyperrandom, so Pasta decided to pick one of shiXo's maps. Probably just wanted to get that Hyperrandom game out of the way. We know some people don't want to put all their marbles on the final ones and might want to get some of the chaos early on if they aren't feeling confident with their previous games. So for Hyperrandom, I'm going to guess Vietnamese Berbers. That feels like both were very solid. You could also see Huns. What are we feeling for Hyperrandom? I'm going to guess Vietnamese... Yeah, Vietnamese Berbers. I think Vietnamese with Hyperrandom getting the... I don't know, Vietnamese just sound like a very solid, like, all-around pick. And Ethiopians, Teutons seem a little bit risky for Hyperrandom. Bengalis could be good. Koreans could be good as well. But I also feel like you could probably save the Koreans and Bengalis for a different map. Any thoughts, or should we get right into it? All right. No responses from the Peanut Gallery. I think we just go right into it. All right. Welcome to game number 2 between shiXo and Pasta on Hyperrandom. We have a kind of boring generation. I mean, the water is... What is the hero? We have Leif Erikson having a naval battle in the middle. They're missing their arrows. And we also have Kotian Khan. So... But overall, it's like just shoals with some weird hills around. So, and a lot of fish in the middle. There's a lot of fish. I mean, only 4,000 fish, but this seems like a pretty bog standard map. Some weird woodlines on the side and some resources on the sides. But like, this just seems like worse shoals. So Paladin's going to take out Kotian in the middle. Looks like shiXo's going to lose the 1v1 because those early arrows he missed. So Leif Erikson does regenerate HP. So Pasta could save Leif Erikson. Yeah, this is a boring gen. I mean, it's interesting in a way, but... And there's been a bunch of kills on both sides. Oh, that's because Kotian Khan is arranged. Okay, that's why he's been able to get a few picks. You only have 1 Leif? Yeah. So, gonna be dock plays. Demo's already out for Pasta. I mean, the difference between this and, like... Yeah, controlling water is probably important, but like without a lot of resources to control, it feels almost there's a single pile here with 1,200 in it. That's hilarious. 1,000 in these piles. I'm assuming because there's so few individual piles, all the gold piles are going to be much more valuable. Yeah, 1235 in all those piles. So the gold piles small but numerous, or few but important. Elephants versus Paladin. We'll see if any more eco kills can be done, which looks like there's a few villagers kind of running around. The elephants are chasing away those paladins. We do see some cannon gallons coming out, so it looks like Pasta's a little bit more committal to playing water. And there's some heavy demos out that shiXo's just not using. Probably trying to focus on villager snipes. Has found 2 more villager snipes in the meantime. And these paladins trying to stop the eco, and Pasta's actually pop capped. So shiXo kind of being uncontested back at home. Not having to worry about this. Huns can win this. I mean, yeah, the early Paladin all in could be the case. I mean, once his castle goes up, it's going to be a lot more difficult, but yeah, Pasta being pop capped right now means that shiXo does have an avenue to like get an advantage, but there's not a lot of numbers going up for shiXo. Is getting the docks, is repositioning the oh no. Oh, those poor cannon galleons. So I think it's just, yeah, shiXo did an early rush. I think it paid off decently, but like there's not a lot behind it. And only a 4 villager lead right now. And the fact that you pop capped your opponent for so long just cost you a lot of gold and not a lot. And now there's a massive ball of elephants coming in. And yeah, I don't think Huns have great answers for elephants, right? What are the cannons doing there anyways? Their best. Yeah, I don't know why there's just non-stop cannon galleons being queued up and nothing else. These elephants could get demoed. Oh, if shiXo could demo, that would help him so much dealing with this. But there's a bunch of Pokeboys here. There's plenty of infantry. I mean, I don't think Hun Halberdiers are the best, but you get enough of them, and they're going to be able to handle... they're going to be able to do fine against elephants, right? So... and yeah, now elephant archers coming in on the side. It's going to be a question of, like, does NuclearPasta just kind of throw away some of the elephants? And one of the other problems is, like, queuing them across the lake. If shiXo is paying attention and has enough water control, he could just send some demos into those armies. Like, he had that chance early on. And now we start seeing some Hun Flood come out. So shiXo is starting to get that military really pumping out. Taking advantage of that full pop space. Might lose a few villagers here if he's not paying attention. Which, I mean, cav archers are going to come up here and try to save that villager, and they do manage to save it. That villager almost dies, going to work on some docks, and trades come. Yeah, this is so dangerous. Like, shiXo could definitely send some demos over here if he's paying attention. In the meantime, Paladins continue to try to raid. Pat's found a bunch more kills, so Pasta's down to 7-8 villagers. So, just, yeah. I mean, if shiXo can win water, I mean, I think that does give him a venue to kind of push into those and force the elephant player on the back foot. This is a dangerous ball of elephants over on the side. Fighting against cav archers and a few Pokeboys is not going to be enough. And yeah, if you just stream elephants forward, it's going to be a question of who starts transitioning into the gold piles. Both players were running very low on gold, but they should have noticed right now, hey, there's a lot of gold in these piles. Just running the demo straight into the docks. I mean, sure, but I feel like you could snipe some elephants on the side if you wanted to. Yeah, there's been a lot of villager kills for such a short game. And for one that looks like it's transitioning into the middle. Elephants all kind of just camping at home, claiming the 1 or 2 resources. It's going to be a weird game. Oh my god, look at this. This is such a weird gen. I almost feel like this is a bugged gen because of how weird the map is. Pasta was down to 4. Yeah. They get caught trapped in here. Like, this woodline makes no sense. Those resources make no sense. Elephants are taking some decent trades here, but also, I mean, I don't think you really want to throw them away when gold's such an issue. So it's, yeah, it looks like shiXo is going to try to get onto this gold, and that'll help a lot. But now another squad of elephants coming in. Some demos, please. Please, shiXo, you have a chance. But yeah, it looks like shiXo has one control of water. I don't think anything else is being made on the docks from Pasta. So we do see some Dromans coming out to try to range some buildings, but the elephant push on the side is going to be what shiXo has to deal with. Mangonels? We got some Hun Mangonels in the mix? Where? Did I miss them? Or is it the Dromans? A lot of military is stuck at home for Pasta. Pasta can't even throw his armor away. Like this, he has no eco. Yeah. That's kind of the wildest thing. I mean, he has 42 villagers. He just has to set up his eco. And now the cav archers are going to come in and raid. Villagers kind of idling. They're on gold. And now this is the benefit of having water, is that you can just range all the military that's being queued forward. And especially over here, this choke point's devious. All the water will range these units. This side, like, they can kind of run along past this tree line and not get ranged. But this is crazy that Pasta's already down to 27 military, doesn't have an eco to build back up. The elephant rush was kind of just thrown away, running straight into the halberdiers, and then just nothing really happened from it. So, not really sure what Pasta's plan was here. But looks like shiXo has really weathered the storm and is now starting to get some more eco going. We see some farms starting to come up for Pasta, but that's a little bit too little too late. I mean, down to 12 military, trying to run the elephants back into castle, have villagers in there for extra arrows, but yeah, Pasta's forced to tap out, so Huns get a nice 2-0 victory. Well done from shiXo. I think on just this map mattered for water control purely for map control. This weird woodline meant that any military coming over here had to go past here. And there's not a lot of resources really to spread out. I think if they had realized how much gold was on some of these piles, there may have been more of a fight for it. Because like you see Pasta over here, but like I think just the continued aggression from shiXo early on just really kept Pasta from getting any sort of eco. Like we can just kind of watch it very fast. And just watch that eco KD go up. That really good micro. That is such good micro. Holy crap, we're gonna rewatch that. I didn't realize how good of micro that was. So that hero has 24 attack. That's insane. No wonder he's able to get. Yeah, 2 shots villagers. I mean, that villager got away. 1, 2. Yeah, so that's one of the crazier things about this. So that he got 6 kills off the start. That's a huge advantage, right? The paladins come in, continue pressure. I mean, Pasta's pop cap for a while, and he keeps getting that early paladin, paying dividends from that early paladin rush, and he queues up a lot of demos and a lot of cannon gallons. He wastes a lot of cannon gallons. I think that is one of the other things. Is that's an expensive unit to waste a bunch of. And he throws a bunch of these elephants just into halberdiers. Like, doesn't really get much benefit from them. And he's down to 4 here, right? So we can pause it down to even 3. Like, where does he lose the villagers? Oh, in the back. Five, 8, 9, yeah. Excuse me. Where did he lose 4 there? Oh, they're down. Are they down there? Hold on. Brutally well played. Yeah. Why does he go from like 9 to 4? So where are villagers here? Oh, he's trying to build them over here. There's one villager over here. So that one probably gets sniped. Is there a villager docking or something? Where are all the villagers? Because he goes from like... Is there even more villagers? There's one building over there. So he's at 8 right now, right? And then he just drops out. Loses that one. Drops at 8. And so now he's going to lose like 3 more in the blink of an eye. He's already lost 3 here. Is it the Cav Archers? Oh, it's a Cav Archers killing those guys. Yeah. So he kills a bunch right there. So there probably was a couple. Yeah. 3 villagers right there that he snipes. That's huge. Okay, that's where that number came from. Those couple Cav Archers. How many Cav Archers? We have 6 Cav Archers, enough to one-shot each one. Yeah, so that's a really nice play from shiXo, getting those early kills. And then just able to continue to maintain the pressure, and just no production buildings means that Pasta was never able to really replenish the rates once. shiXo loves CA rushing. I mean, looks like he's pretty good with it, and you saw what happened when he gets a hero CA, right? So, yeah, not the most exciting hyper-random game, but incredibly well played from shiXo. Winning water and controlling it, and then just, yeah, Pasta ran a lot of his elephants to their death, unfortunately. So, well done. I'm not the biggest fan of that hyper-random gen because it's just worse shoals. But, hey, not all hyper-randoms are going to be bangers, right? Sometimes you like the more standard hyper-randoms. Wait, I have to load the next game. Game number 3 is going to be on Serengeti. You weren't a fan of that gen either? Yeah, I could see that. Pasta, I do have a question, and this is not meant to be rude or anything, but in that first game, were you kind of going in with the plan for the Gajars just to go camel elephant archers, like, regardless of what your opponent picked? Because me and Otto were chatting, and it sounded like, that was not a gen issue, yeah. Um, it seemed like the correct play there was a completely different unit comp, and it felt like Gajars just kind of, you can go in a lot of times and expect to do camel elephant archers and be fine, but against Romans especially, it doesn't really work out. So, um, not trying to be rude or anything like that, but I just want to know if that was kind of like, because it felt weird just like seeing camels into Romans. Game one was a hard matchup regardless. Yes, absolutely. What a rude question. Absolutely, I can be rude, more rude. But game two should have been a civ win. Yeah, it's a far gen with hero CA against an opponent with a much higher APM. That is true. Yeah, that hero, like Otto was just saying too, that like shiXo really loves Cav Archer rating, and giving him a Cav Archer hero at the start that two taps villagers, kind of brutal as we saw. That villager got 6 villager kills. That's insane. CA hero is a nice player wise. Yeah. Um, but all right, so it's 0-2. I still think Pasta can win a few games here. That was it Bengalis? Yeah, it wasn't Vietnamese. So it was Bengalis versus Huns, right? Answer the question. The plan was always camel Ellie Elitchers until I have castles up to transit shotguns. Gotcha. You can always just turtle and eventually Huns can't stop elephant archers. Yeah. Wasn't able to secure sides. Yeah, that was the other thing we noticed was shiXo did really well at denying your expansions a couple times. So it was one of those things I was like, very well played from shiXo, more so than you playing poorly. I think it was just the, like you said, the game was over before you could do your transitioning plan. So, but all right, game three is going to be Serengeti. So looks like Pasta's trying to take out shiXo's maps first, and then have his last two. So, what are we feeling for Serengeti? I mean, Arabia sounds like it could just be Koreans versus Berbers, Bohemians. I would see either of those two, and then Ethiopians. No, I think it's Vietnamese or Koreans versus Bohemians or Berbers. Better player probably still wins that, but you're bad. Yeah, your house at 40 pop. Yeah, yeah. That was wild. That was so unfortunate. Like again, it was, you got not screwed, but it was just a very nice couple of coincidences that really maximized shiXo's specialties with the Civ and everything. So it was just like you gotta got a short end of the stick there, and it snowballed. Should have ignored water. Probably. Yes and no. I think you committed too many. Like you lost a bunch of candy galleons for free, um, and then also you walked your. But because of how the pathing worked on that map, the elephants were all walking along the water, and I was just like, shiXo needs to send a demo into the elephants. shiXo could have demoed so many of your elephants. It was wild. Especially on the right side with that choke point. But anyways, any thoughts? Nothing from Pasta, of course, because he knows. But any thoughts on game number 3 Serengeti Civ matchup? I'm gonna guess Koreans, Berbers, just cause. So, any last minute guesses before we move on? Oh, I got pinged. 1 second. Bohemian versus Ethio, because they are hamsters. Do That's dope. All right. There's Akre. That makes no sense. Yeah. Berber Ethiopian. Oh, Bohemians on Akre sounds really strong. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Let me ooh, excuse me. Swap over. Do I have my There it is. Give me 1 second. All right. All ready for the next game. We are moving on to the cast. Alrighty, welcome to game number 3. Serengeti between shiXo up 2-0 against NuclearPasta. shiXo in the teal, playing the Berbers, and in the orange, just like Otter predicted, is Ethiopians played by NuclearPasta. So interesting gen where they're both on the left, like on the top side of the map, as opposed to kind of being more in the middle. So we already see the problem with that is that Pasta is getting the short end of the stick, sending his scout down to the south where he expects shiXo to be, and therefore won't be able to apply any early pressure. So he'll find out short enough, but that does delay a little bit of the rush and makes shiXo's opening just a bit more smooth. We see infantry and siege going to be able to play from Pasta, and the Hussar could even. Oh no, the villager ran perfectly. At least going to delay the castle for a bit. Pasta missing out on a kill. Oh, might even still get that. Yeah. Oh no, the castle count. Hussar goes down. So close. But it's going to be stable openings. A lot of stable openings in a castle for the Berbers, which makes sense. So it's going to be infantry, Ethiopians. Yeah. And scorpions to deal with the cav archers. I mean, I guess that makes sense. And probably the elephants. Or the, not the elephants, the camel archers. So Camel's gonna continue to run in there and maybe try to snipe with a cav archer in support. And I mean, there are a bunch of villagers exposed here. Not gonna find might get a pick off here, but with only one camel and one cav archer, it's not exactly the best. Does get a pick off. That's nice. And it has 2 kills. So shiXo finding a few early kills. Paladins are gonna find some siege as well, but they are gonna die to the halberdiers. So shiXo definitely being the aggressor here. NuclearPasta, I think, has been kind of consistently. He's the one who builds up his forces and tries to wait for a mass and then go in, and doesn't try to do the early rushes and try to with the raiding units quite as often. So it's kind of the general play style. See some more siege coming in for NuclearPasta. Of course, the torsion engines. Yeah, torsion engines being pretty nice. You need some good APM for that, otherwise you will destroy your own units. Just gotta be careful with that. In the meantime, oh, there's so many siege getting sniped here. That is so much siege. That is a brutal loss. Finally, those paladins are gonna get. Yeah, shiXo just finds some really good value plays here and there. That's the biggest thing I've noticed. Is shiXo just is able to find a few snipes here and there that can make a massive amount of difference. There's a nice little pond right in the middle. So theoretically, we could see a dock and a cannon galleon or two. I don't think that's a very good idea because there's not a lot of space for this pond, but it is right in between. I don't think you could avoid getting ranged by anything. There's not a lot of space to maneuver, but that is a theoretical possibility. Now the camel archers are starting to be massed up, so they're going to be able to do some more hit and runs. And we've talked about how shiXo likes his cav archers. So right now, both players are kind of starting to build up their forces. I mean, shiXo's military is only half the size of Pasta's. I mean, Pasta does have mostly infantry. And this is an interesting hill. It's not. It's kind of directly between. Oh, nice shot there. But that's a very important hill to kind of fight over. And we've seen what happened with Pasta shooting up that hill. The siege onager is not doing as much damage as he would like. So that's going to be an important hill, I think, to fight over, even though there is a lane kind of down below these trees. These halberdiers kind of engaging without the support from these scorpions. And the scorpion's going to fire kind of behind the tree line. And, I mean, kills a lot of camel archers. So these halberdiers getting some good engagement. They have gotten kind of a bit of a half surround and doing more damage than I think they were expected to do. They are going to get cleaned up here and now going to lose some siege as more halberdiers come in. But a lot of camel archers are down. Bomber cannon's count is still high. shiXo did all of his micro. Yeah, there's no micro there. I mean, shiXo is setting up a lot of eco over here, right? So shiXo's really worried about expanding, and may have just been one bad fight, but that was such a bad fight comparatively. I think shiXo really came out poorly there. Did take out a lot of Pasta's siege, but yeah, now Pasta's the one without the military. Only 20 villagers, maybe, and only 3 killed KD. So Pasta's struggling to really get an eco behind this. Is kind of what I'm finding out. Nice shot there. Good old torsion engines getting some value. Yeah, shiXo just, even though shiXo had a rough fight here, another nice shot, but it's uphill. And there's the micro. It's just kind of a problem that shiXo's eco is just now double that, and you can even see it from the military counts. It's hard for Pasta to keep the military up. This might just be another quick game 3. This hill is just giving so much value that I almost don't want Pasta to be fighting over it. But it's just so hard because like this, at least this hill does range pretty well. Pasta trickling versus a hill, yeah, that is a really big problem too. And a nice little BBC snipe there. Yeah, clearing this up makes a little bit more sense, but yeah, that is trickling against this hill with bombard cannons and camel archers on the hill is brutal. And now that the champions are getting mixed in, we really need some really good micro. I think it'd be different if Pasta had a bunch of siege units, especially like if he had multiple siege onagers. I think it'd be better, but he's only ever had like 3 or 4 at the time, right? And so it's been hard to really kind of force the micro engagements that he needs. And he's going to try to engage here and misses all of his shots. The camel archer is going to be able to get some good damage. Does take some damage, but they're able to snipe a bombard cannon. Costs a couple halberdiers. Castle does deny this castle, which is nice. So the expansions are going up. We'll see if there's a Treb coming out anytime soon here to try to push on this side. But, I mean, Pasta's gotten his eco and his military count back up. So, well, it wasn't looking too good. It looks like Pasta is starting to kind of climb back into it. But now these bomber cannons are going to be able to one-shot buildings. That is going to be very tough to deal with. If they can keep kind of popping in and out. These some hussars mixed in as well. Maybe try to aim for some raids, try to snipe the siege. But those hussars are just going to run right into the meat shield. And sure, some onager and some bomber cannon shots will do some good damage there, but they're not going to win that fight. So now the halberdiers trying to engage here. No siege to back it up, but the halberdiers chew through those camel archers and onto the bomber cannons. And this is a great engagement from Pasta. Horrible one from shiXo. shiXo is now pushed off that hill. Pasta should... I want Pasta to send villagers forward and build a castle on that hill. If he built a castle on that hill, I almost think that's game. I mean, it's definitely not. And now there is a trap down here, so this expansion is going to get denied, which is very nice from shiXo. But, like, the big fight in the middle is happening. I mean, now there's the micro. Loses all of his halberdiers. There's no meat shield left for the siege onagers. This is where the micro comes in. And it's going to force Pasta to kind of sit back on the hill. Can't really push in without a meat shield. Needs to send more halberdiers forward, but that is a costly, costly loss from shiXo, or from Pasta. He could have really pushed in here if he had more. And, misclick. Now here come the bombard cannons. Yeah, no, I would love to see villagers come forward and build a castle there. I still would like to see that. I think the fact that neither especially shiXo never castled that hill, that seems like a mistake. But shiXo's kind of castling and pushing on this right side. This expansion is going to go down. The map control is pretty firmly in shiXo's favor, especially with this. But, I mean, his main base is going to get kind of devastated here. This torsion engine siege onagers are going to be able to nuke some of these buildings. And now the halberdiers here are here to help protect against these bomber cannons. A little bit exposed, but some good micro here. And the halberdiers, so long as the halberdiers don't go too far forward, that's going to be the key question. They need to stay back to protect against all these hussars that are going to try to raid and poke it. And that's kind of where this fight needs to happen. Good onager shots from both of them, just barely miss. But I think now the engagement's happening. The halberdiers are much lower. A lot of shots landed on them. Cav archers trying to snipe some of the siege, and halberdiers do get cleaned up pretty easily. More of them need to be coming in to defend, but there's no hussars or anything to take advantage of this. So the camel archers really can't engage on this. So far, still Pasta kind of has the advantage in the middle. In the meantime, yeah, these expansions on this right side are going to be fully taken by shiXo. So even if shiXo loses main base, he still has plenty of map to fall back to. I am still shocked there's no castle being built on here. This hill is so important. And lands a nice shot there. Internal fight over one hill and no one securing it is funny indeed. Yeah. I mean, in one hand, I can understand... Oh no, hussars coming in unopposed. No halberdiers here. Very few halberdiers. Oh, gonna cost a lot of siege onagers to take out those hussars. Oh, the friendly fire. This is where APM really matters. And difficulties of playing a top tier, a really good SO Civ. Is you need that really good micro, and if you don't have it, SOs can just chew through your own army. We do see some forward siege work stops, so at least Pasta is thinking about trying to push forward and kind of secure this. Like, again, a castle here solves so many issues, and maybe he's leaning towards that. In the meantime, we do see some expansion pushing on this side. shiXo has a few Trebs and some camel archers to protect against it. And unfortunately, with the slower moving army of the Ethiopians being forced to fight in the middle here, there's not going to be a lot at home to defend against this push. he needs to kind of redirect some forces, but these kind of, this small attack squad, he's sending the villagers forward to attack the Trebs, thinking they're exposed, but the camel archers are here. And I mean, yeah, good reaction from shiXo. Should be able to clean up all those villagers. That's a lot of dead villagers. Will take out one Treb, could take out a second one, maybe. But that is, yeah, now shiXo, now Pasta has to fall back. And he hasn't built on the hill, so now the hill's going to be reclaimed by shiXo. And yeah, just not a great not a great game plan from Pasta, unfortunately. He had a really good advantage, but not securing it. I mean, with how many bombard cannons there are, I guess it would probably get melted right away. But he could have pushed in so much heavier. But yeah, being forced to pull back and deal with this is brutal. There's no halberdiers here. If the Hussars get onto this back line, it's going to be so deadly. But enough Scorpions are here and some good enough Siege Onager Micro that they are going to stay alive, take out these Trebs. Castle is going to just barely stay alive. So Pasta has defended against that push, but now comes some camel raids. We've seen, oh, there's a lot of exposed wood choppers over here. So Pasta could lose a lot of villagers here. shiXo could find the damage. And now finally shiXo decides, hey, you know that hill we've been fighting over the entire game? Maybe now is a good time to take a hill. And so that's going to allow the bomber cannons to destroy all of these. Like, this is just a very nice castle. Assuming that they're allowed to build it. Maybe one day. There they go. But yeah, Hussar raids on the side. And yeah, that's the problem with Siege Onagers. If you're not pushing the fight, you're going to get raided to death. And they are going to come in here and they're going to cause some problems. But, I mean, at the meantime, you're getting raided on the side. You don't have meat shields to protect yourself. You need the Scorpions to do that. And it's going to be hard to push into a castle with just Scorpions and SO. Meantime, Hussar raid's going to be there. Shotel's coming out trying to deal with this. I think Shotel's in enough numbers will be able to deal with the Hussars, but I think that's just such a more expensive loss for the Shotels. And now some push of the villagers once again showing their strength, taking out all of those Trebs. And the camels not really attacking the villagers. Seems like a little bit of a waste. I mean, shiXo's attention is elsewhere. Now the castle's getting range. Bombard Micro is going to happen. A lot of SOs have been taken out, so lost a lot of siege units for Pasta. So that's a lot of expensive things to lose. Does have plenty of resources banked up, but the Bombard Micro from shiXo is really on point here. Good split micro. But yeah, the Hussar raids can be so deadly. The Shotel's coming over here to clean this up, but I think shiXo missed a huge opportunity to kill a bunch of wood choppers here. Granted, Pasta may have overboomed a touch, so maybe it's not the biggest loss, but yeah, now it's going to be a question of can Pasta establish any form of map control. All these resources are going to be drained by shiXo. A lot of the gold in the middle can be taken. And Pasta is going to run out of resources at some point. There's still plenty at home, but that is definitely a concern that he has to worry about. Villagers coming forward. We're going to see a back sneak castle. I don't know if shiXo expected this to be an expansion up to this side, but he's going to get a castle down here, which is wild, and I don't think Pasta's going to realize. What a crazy play. Thank you for the follow, Cubes. He's not going to be able... The castle does get started. Why are these villagers... I suppose shiXo just realized he's overboomed and wants him to go forward and do something. And now the villagers coming over in style to counter castle on the edge of the map. What a crazy castle. This is crazy. Hussar's going to snipe some Trebs. Hussar raids over here. A lot of stuff happening. Fights in the middle. We care about this castle. Oh, and the castle doesn't go up. He doesn't get it going. Oh, the castle goes up. Oh, that's such a horrible castle I have to deal with. That is brutal. Like, even if he... Oh. He's going to lose villagers from that too, which is, again, probably fine. So he's going to steal some wood. So if this goes to wood, the fact that shiXo is stealing some of Pasta's wood is going to be a notable thing. Yeah, this Bombard Cannon has 11 kills. That's crazy. This castle has 37 kills. Playing siege into a castle is so tough if you don't have the Bombard Cannons or anything like that. And yeah, I can see... I understand. This castle going up is just brutal. There are Trebs here, but, like, that's so rough. And so shiXo also has full map control elsewhere. There's some friend mining over here. But that was such a wild... That definitely felt like a shiXo throwing a castle with a prayer and just being like, hey, I want to lower my villager count. I can build a castle up here and just hope for the best. Check APM. It was pretty consistent. I mean, Pasta dripped down here, which we can go and check out what was happening there. But shiXo stayed pretty high, right? Like a lot of actions from both players. Because you have to remember, Pasta, if you're wondering why your number is so high, or maybe shiXo's is so low, is that high APM is different from effective APM, right? I can click super, super fast, but if I'm not really doing anything from it, it's not very effective, right? It's like in League, when I used to play League a decade plus ago. I would do the spam clicking to move and stuff, but like it really didn't matter much in the end, right? Like it wasn't all that effective and wasn't very beneficial or anything. So at this time, this is when Pasta, yeah, I mean Pasta has no real fight going on. He's moving his army down here. He just cleaned this up. So that's when his APM dipped. But alrighty, so that was game 3. Once again, going to shiXo. Switch to intermission. I can swap over to the next game. Going to game 4. It's going to be Aftermath. Know how APM works? Just thought, yeah. That's fair. And if it sounded like I assumed you didn't, that's not what I meant to come across as. Alright, cool. Alrighty. So, that was game number 3. Ethiopians lost to the Berbers. Berbers, once again, getting more win for their win rates. It is Aftermath time. What are we feeling for Aftermath? Another pseudo-Arabia game. I expect Vietnamese. Well, so what's left? We have Aftermath and Acre. So we'll work backwards. Bohemians on Acre, I think, is the consensus. And then Koreans on Acre, I can see. Koreans or Teutons on Acre. I'll go Teutons just because ETK is coming. No, I'll go Koreans, Bohemians on Acre. So Vietnamese, Burmese is what I would say, I think. Because I don't think you want to do Goths at this point. But yeah, I'm guessing Vietnamese, Burmese for Aftermath. I think, elephants are always good. And yeah. Any thoughts from anyone? I'm gonna fill up on water now, just so I don't have to fill up on water for game 5. So give me 1 second. I want to see at least one guess. That. All right, doesn't look like a peanut gallery has any thoughts, which is fine. I'll just guess incorrectly by myself. Get my headphones on, and we'll get game 4 underway. So, who is? Hold on, I got a message. 1 second. Featuring. Oh. Cool. Alrighty, let me swap over to the spoiler-free. Switch over here. And I think we are all set to get underway. Alrighty, welcome to game number 4 of Tarnished Deathmatch. Season 6, Division 3. Pasta's down 0-3, but he's hoping to bring it back with the Teutons on Aftermath. His opponent up 3-0 is shiXo with the Bohemians. So going to be some gunpowder play. Some good old siege units. And going to be infantry start from shiXo. And then probably add a castle or two. Could see maybe a sniper. No. And then it's going to be range units, so it's probably just straight gunpowder. Going to be the play for the Teutons. I don't think we're going to be seeing cav archers. I don't even know if Teutons get cav archers. They do. But that would be a shocking. I know he likes his cav archers, but that would be a shocking. It is going to be cav archers. Alright, he wants his cav archers. That's wild. Teuton cav archers, I feel like, is not really where you want to be. But Pasta's got some shiXo, or Pasta's got some strats. Yeah, that's Pasta. Like, shiXo would make sense because he's so gung-ho on cav archers, but interesting play from Pasta. We'll see how that works out, because, like, they don't even have husbandry, right? So they're going to be very slow. What bonuses do they even have? They don't have thumb ring. They don't have Parthian tactics. All right, let's see. 2 ranges to rush, maybe, but 5? Yeah, I mean, I can see if he transitions into gunpowder, right? But non-stop cav archers. I mean, if you know your opponent's going to go straight infantry, I can kind of see it. Just the mobility would be nice. Does find a kill, but I think shiXo's going to be a little confused. But shiXo's military is pretty massive, pretty solid start, and cav archers, just mass cav archers, is wild. Pasta is very far behind. It is pop capped again. Trying to get that early castle up definitely delays the population buildings. So, is going to allow shiXo to get a bit more of a military lead. And especially if you're going cav archers, Teuton or not, you want a nice mass of them. And so if you've been pop capped for a while, it's going to be tough to get that mass up. Champs are a fine start for us Bohemians, yeah. Or gunpowder, or I don't know. I'm excited to see what the plan here is. This is just like, the fact that he's still making cav archers is the wild part, right? Like, this, I can see being like, you know what? You're going to gamble with a aggressive start, and, like, Teutons aren't great at raiding at the start, so, like, this is a very good, like, sneaky little raid you could do, which is what you can do, but, like, adding up, doubling that number. He's going to send 1 wagon back, knows that he can't let that raid go on, and there's paladins over here. Like, you can just do Teuton paladins. And now these cav archers are going to just die. Fight in the middle is happening. There's nothing really here. There's no melee units here to defend against this either. So, gonna lose some units of their own siege. It is gonna push us back. We have a very aggressive forward castle. I mean, it's not super forward because they're very close by. But yeah, cav archers into Bohemian, into Hussite wagons does not sound like a great time. And these cav archers continuing not to find any damage. Now the halberdiers are gonna come in and try to raid, or try to raid on their parade, and that's gonna be wasted cav archers. So, don't think this play is really working out necessarily for Pasta. But he does have the SOs, so, you know, wherever there's an SO, there's a way. But it is very tough. Oh god, don't kill all your own units. You make a lot happen with SOs, but we saw in the previous game, the SO control isn't necessarily easy. I mean, it's incredibly not easy. Yeah, just, it's so dangerous. Like, you have to pull them back with the moment. Yeah, so now some paladins are going to mix in, some champions will come out. Which, like, Teutons get, like, infantry bonuses, right? Barracks, yeah, they get additional melee. So, but yeah, it's going to be Hussite Wagon, BBCs, and some Halberdiers. And Paladin's going to come in here and try to get some good engagements on these Hoofnies. And those get cleaned up by the SOs, like I said. Wherever there's an SO, there's a way. Land some really nice shots. I think shiXo was off paying attention elsewhere. And loses some of the Hoofnies. But the Paladins do get cleaned up. Cav Archers finding a few kills. No, they're just attacking the TC. The Cav Archers are just not attacking anything that they need to. Hoofni's going to land some nice shots on those champions. Pal SO is great versus Bohemians. But yeah. I mean, I just think any meat shield. It was Cav Archer, SO, right? That's the problem. There's nothing like one halberdier runs forward and it's like, okay, the Cav Archers have to deal with it. And if they don't. Why is there blue villager? Oh no, never mind. I'm thinking the other way around. But yeah, I mean, Pasta's getting very aggressive here. Going forward here and going to destroy his own build, his own siege. And runs into the base, losing a bunch of units. But I mean, castle is going on here. That is a hill. Getting a second one up here. So, I mean, Pasta's playing this properly. Could maybe try to contest some of the sides and get the markets. But kind of nice that he's making this push. And that's a lot of champions. And, like, He's swapped off of the Cav Archers now. So, I mean, now he's in a much better position. It's going to be a champion war, but with Hoofknees firing down onto the champions, it's going to be tough. There's not a lot of siege support for Pasta's champion, so he has to pull them back. And that's going to allow the Bohemians to kind of get their mass going, because their gunpowder wagons up, and he's going to just throw the champions away. They didn't pull back all the way. So, unfortunately, Pasta Micro just not there, throwing a lot of units away. I mean, they are getting some pretty good trades here. But just there's so much military here that you don't want to do that. And it's underneath 2 castles. Crenellations is a broken counter. Yeah. The extra range of the castle makes it so difficult. So definitely, Pasta definitely had some opportunities here to gain really strong control. But throwing all of his champions forward like that with no siege support is just a recipe for losing. And now there's going to be a crackback, and shiXo's going to be able to push these castles. Bomber Cannon's going to land some nice shots, or they could just go too far forward. Does take out some HP on those Hussite wagons. But again, there's no military here besides siege. It's going to be tough for Pasta to keep his military up. He's going to lure them out, and he's going to wipe out all the champions. That is a beautiful tactic from Pasta. Beautiful. I'm going to pause that real quick. Just ban this guy. There we go. Screw it. Congrats, Otter. There you go. Otter, your mod now. Alright, back to where we were. Yeah. So, way more defensive stand ground on the meat shields. Yeah, he just keeps losing his meat shields. I feel like that's kind of been a consistent issue with any of the SO play from Pasta, is a lot of the military just kind of gets pulled out of position and then runs their doom, and the siege gets left unguarded. Like we saw with the Ethiopians a lot. We saw it here. Because when Pasta's able to take a fight, like you saw there, it was a pretty solid fight. He can micro when he needs to. But it is definitely a tough route for him to win this now. Down 22 military. Offensive by default. The problem here isn't stance, it's just not clicking units far enough. Wait, yeah. Yeah, and that's just a, get enough reps and maybe they'll be a little bit better. The Bomber Cannon's going to do some damage here, but the Hoofknees are going to probably beat them pretty well. Oh, Crenellations is the other way around. I was wrong about that, but... Now the Hussite Wagon's going to push, and like there's just not a lot of good options for the Hussite Wagons, I feel like, from the Teutons in this specific moment, right? Like, I think like adding some Paladins here would be good, but you've spent a lot of your gold on those Cav Archers. You don't have your siege in position, and they're able to just run down this castle. The Hoofknees are there. There's not a lot of mobility from the Teutons to be able to snipe these Hoofknees. So... one castle goes down, second one should be going down, no repairs coming out. I think both players just kind of spent some time there reinforcing their eco. Pasta's overboomed, but now he's able to flood champions and bomber cannons, so this is going to be nice. SO's come into the defense of the castle, but a little bit too late. We do have some champion raids, so not really finding too much. I mean, now Pasta does have 15 eco kills, but at this point it's not quite as important. So it's going to be a question about keeping that Hoofknees number low. And just some basketball micro. And yeah, I mean, the fact that shiXo's had the trade workshop resources this entire time has definitely been beneficial. Like, it's not vital, but I feel like Pasta definitely could have contested one of the sides. But the Bohemian Death Ball is here, and they're going to start pushing back. And where is Pasta's military? There's not a lot of military for Pasta. I'm going to sneeze. Hold on a sec. Ugh. So it's going to be tough for Pasta to hold off against this Death Ball if they come forward. But he's getting some decent engagements. Oh, no. SOs are coming too far forward. They're trying to get a nice, juicy shot. And they are going to get some decent shots, maybe, but that costs all of their health. And they're going to get sniped by the other military, and oh no, they're just going to beeline towards those bomber cannons. So that SO does survive another day to get maybe another couple shots off. But those the bomber cannons are going to go down. Champions who cleaned it up a little bit. Paladin's raiding on this side. Not necessarily raiding, but trying to push here. And Paladin's going to try to find some good engagements with the Pony Boys a little bit out of position. Could try to get some Hussite wagons here. Could snipe that Treb. And they're just going to try to go and find some more valleys. But they're kind of running right through a bunch of Halberdiers and Champions. And with gunpowder continuing to fire at them, it's not going to be the best. But this SO is getting some good value. Is taking out some of the Hussite wagons that Paladins are going to engage here. But once again, just not a fight you want to take with the Paladins. And is going to clean up a bunch of the Hussite wagons in the siege. But a lot of Paladins were spent to do that. And without one of the workshops, that's some resources that is going to be tough to replace. Pasta's resources is pretty good, especially with the overboom. But he needs to start thinking. And he does have this workshop finally. So I would like to see a castle on the workshop. Maybe expand on this left side. Because shiXo's kind of contentious, kind of turtle up. Nice shot there. Yeah, shiXo's kind of content to just turtle up right now and gain resource control. What a forward monastery. I really hope that's just to spawn monks and then bring them to the back. But I doubt it. So, shiXo once again knowing that this game likely will go long with how slow of a pace it is. Securing those workshops to get all the resources he can. And just secure a better long-term position. You know, you see, like, shiXo's gold bank's massive. I mean, his military has been really pushing fights, so they've been able to sit back and take advantage of defenders. Long-term tunes fall off a bit? Yeah. Absolutely. Also, I think it's just, like, trading-wise, like, you can see... I mean, the KD is pretty balanced. But... it's, that's not what I want to do. Alright, we see some wood chopping. Probably just to open up some space, but with how slow this game is going, it could be beneficial for Pasta to start chopping some trees. I'm assuming that's just to give a little bit more maneuverability. But this castle is going to get pressured. Not a lot of military here to deal with this. Champions, I think, can clear this up. Monk's going to try to get some redemption, but Toons have that resistance to conversions. They're going to engage... Oh, they took out that, but they didn't take out the Trebs. So unfortunate. But I think the bomber cannons will do a good enough job. Needs to take out that last Treb to keep the castle up. Castle has plenty of health, so it is going to go down. But the bomber cannon is a little bit too far forward. It is going to lose some of the bomber cannons, so things you don't want to be losing for sure. And once again, Pasta's military numbers struggling to stay up. It's really just a question of, like, he can't keep up the military needed to be able to contest these extended pushes from shiXo. So shiXo's going to be able to take out this castle on the hill. Goes down, no more stone for Pasta. And, we have some Paladin raids in the back, so a lot of eco kills. Like, look at that eco KD. Beautiful job, beautifully done from Pasta. But he's losing in the front, and that's a problem. Down to 81 villagers is a pretty big deal. But yeah, I think shiXo's just taking such decent trades and keeping a lot of the gold units that he needs alive. So... no relics yet. Some castles on the side are going to be annoying to deal with, but there's no military here to defend for Pasta. Like, spawning a couple ETKs here might be decent, just kind of, like, run in and deal with some of these pushes, but, like, I don't know. A stable to put some Paladins in. Castle is going to try to go up. Paladins should be able to catch us out. We see light cav starting to come out for Pasta. Just continue the raids. When were skirmishers made? Why are skirmishers made? Alright. Skirmishers going to get eaten alive. Oh no, they're scouts, that's right. It's not even light cap. I always forget about that. Castle does get doubted, which is very nice. Opens up the space, and the Trebs are going to come forward and be able to take damage onto that foundations, which will be bonus damage. So we like to see that. But yeah, it's going to be a mix of scouts and paladins for the Teutons. Trying to find some engagements here and there, but Pasta's definitely on the needs to raid side of things. Has a kind of trash eco transition, so not really worried about getting much gold here. Mostly because I don't know if he has access to a lot of gold. Definitely was where we would love to see the relics. I'm surprised the relics haven't come into play. We're 30 minutes into the game. Okay, now the relics are starting to get picked up by shiXo. shiXo realizing, hey, this game's going long. Gonna drop some relics or monasteries near the relics and pick them up. He has the workshops, so shiXo's gonna be looking very beautifully on the economy. Dutch monastery, yeah. This one, not so much. This one, makes kind of sense, because it is, like, still, like, yeah, it's on the edge of your base, but it is kind of protected. I also don't mind, like, making a Dutch monastery if it's to pump out a monk and then bring the relic back. But it's, we'll see if seeing a couple extra monasteries means that maybe Pasta will think about picking up some relics. And these halberdiers are going to catch some Trebs exposed. And Trebs trying to flee for their lives, but I think that's going to get, they're going to lose at least 1 or 2 Trebs here. So we see a lot more stables, so it looks like Pasta's really going to go for the scout raiding game. Which, like, fair enough, you have 76 on farms. You may as well, but it's going to be tough to deal with this Bohemian Death Ball. Forward one is very Dutch. Yeah, this one's a bit much. That one's a bit much. I'll give you that one. That one is bold. A lot of exposed eco for Pasta. Pasta, of course, does have the eco to spare. But it is going to kind of slowly turn out of a gold game. It's turning more into a wood game. Like, and there's a monastery. So we'll see if some relics are trying to get claimed. But, like, there's been... Okay, the monk just going... All of those scouts just ran right by the monk. Into their death. They yearn for the great beyond. And that monk is just going to be able to secure that relic. Honestly, the smart play would just be make a monastery and shuttle those back. But, I mean, shiXo has 3 relics. 4 relics, even. So looks like Pasta did think about that. Did grab the 1 relic, but 2 in the front, 2 on the side. And there's the box formation. We love to see it. Scout's going to run forward and try to get on the Hoofnies. So we're just spamming Scouts into the Hoofnies, which with Halberdiers not going to go well. So Pasta is committing fully to the Scout Rush, which is not where you want to be with Teutons. And so we'll see if he can even find any damage that makes this push stall down. But between the workshops and the relics, shiXo has so much material, so much resources to work with. Treb's kind of going on their own. Going to try to snipe this monastery, which would be great if there's monks or military to help with this push. But, yeah. There's no monks to snipe it. There's no military to help secure it. In the meantime, the push in the middle is going to continue. Pasta doesn't have the military, doesn't have the gold income. This is going to be a slow but certain death by a Bohemian Death Ball. We see some more Cav Archers mixed in. But yeah, it is just non-stop scouts, which, I mean, like, sure, you have 80 farms. You can flood them non-stop till the day ends. But scouts just are not great. And only out of 10 stables. If you really want those to work, you need to flood like 20 scout stables and just really fill the battlefield. So, imagine selling all that scout food for champs, yeah, or the wood. I think if this goes super late with how little, 1, you know you don't have the relics, and 2, you haven't had workshop control for most of the game. If it turns into more of a wood game, shiXo's going to have such a huge gold advantage, right? So, pushing on all sides, I think, unfortunately, Pasta's going to be slowly whittled down here. 1 or 2 more pushes will probably be done by Pasta, but I think it's going to pretty quickly wrap up, and shiXo's going to take game number 4. Pasta wins if he just does champs. I don't know if he has the gold to supply that anymore, right? But he'd have to sell a bunch of wood. He has to make sure to mass them up. Granted, there is not a lot of gunpowder. And there's some good engagement. There's one champion getting some good kills on the Hoofnies. And shiXo's down to 250 gold. Granted, he has plenty of gold income in other ways. But yeah, this is a pretty good engagement from Pasta, finding the thing. 90 farms equals gold for champs. That's true. But you need the gold in the first place. So pretty solid engagement from Pasta, cleaning this up more than I thought he would. We do see some raids on the side, losing a bunch of villagers over there, evening out that KD, the Eco KD, and this push on the side as well. Probably we'll see 1 Treb or something. Yeah, there's the Treb. Monks coming out to resecure those relics. And these champions are pretty solid. Scout's going to get some good engagement. Like, Scout raids are going to do some damage here. shiXo found the champ key. Yeah. I mean, with some SOs, if Pasta can get some good SO micro, we could see some benefits here, but yeah, champs, like, again, in the long run, shiXo has a gold income. Has 4 relics and the workshops. And these scouts are not sniping any monks. Just running past. And, oh hey, my food's here. I still have another game to cast. That's fine. Hurry doesn't need to be hot. I mean, the scouts, you can say what you want about Teuton scouts. You get a bunch of them and run them into unprotected eco lines, and you're going to be feasting. So, Pasta doing better than I thought he would be at this position. Still low on military. But, you see, here's some monk conversions. Some pushes on the side. Exposed ecos. I mean, you put those all in the TC, those champions die. But it's going to be a slow, painful death, I think. Workshop has been taken. Teuton scouts beat Bohemian Lycav. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I'm sure Bohemian Lycav are pretty bad, but they are Lycav at the end of the day, right? Missing their third upgrade. They do have husbandry, no bloodlines, which Teutons do have bloodlines. That is pretty nice on that side. And they do get the full armor and the bonus armor. So it might not be as bad. It does beat a Korean Hussar? Yeah, that's fair. The real question is shiXo's eco set up to support Lycav spam, which it isn't. He also doesn't have the production. So, though at the same point, it's like, yes, if this he's taking some good engagements here, sniping some gold units, but at the end of the day, Pasta's relying on a single relic and now a workshop. If he'd had this workshop this entire time, he'd have a lot more gold to have played with. But it's kind of tough to, I mean, now we see a lot more production, like a lot more halberdiers coming forward. One Treb trying to pressure this. If he can contest this relic, there's a good chance. So, if he can snipe these relics, then all of a sudden everything I've said is moot. And Pasta's back in the game. All the Hoofnies are dead. Yeah, Hoofnies need to be sniped. shiXo is going to lose the Dutch monastery? Yeah. I mean, look at this. Like, Pasta's not even attacking the castle. I almost feel like this is just enough time for a monk to be made and go and try to rescue those relics. But, yeah. Pasta could snipe 2 relics if he does. There's no monk. We need monks. Okay, there's the monk. We're going to keep track of that monk. And now it's going to be a question of... And Pasta does have the hill. Here's another squad of halberdiers on this left side with a couple Hoofnies here. And it's champions into halberdiers and scouts. Which, I mean, is fine if you're just going to throw away your trash units, try to snipe. There's one Hoofnies dead. There's a second Hoofnies? No. So, it's now a game of protect the relics. And we'll see if shiXo tries to rescue those relics. That's going to be the other big question. But Scout's going to continue to go forward here. And, I mean, taking down this castle, or this area, some of this production buildings is nice. Going to make it a little bit harder. Nice shot from the SOs for shiXo, or for Pasta. Does lose one. The push on this left side has stopped, and this farm eco is kind of gone back up. We do see a side expansion over here. Even going as far to make some buildings and a steal the wood. So shiXo is kind of considering about that late game, getting some raiding, production stuff. Maybe steal the farms, steal the wood. So we could be seeing a wood game here. Where did the relic... Oh, another Dutch monastery. Not as Dutch, but still pretty Dutch. He's at least going to pull them back. And Pasta has to tap out. We kind of missed it. I think he lost his military. We can rewind it real quick. Just to see what happened to that kind of force. Just kind of over here. He gets some nice shots here. There's not a lot of military left for Pasta. Does land that nice shot, and then we looked around. There were chances here? Yeah. I'm assuming he loses all of his siege right here, and that's just too hard to replace. Because at this point, you can't really replace. The relics have been rescued. And yeah, there's nothing here to deal with these champions. They just sneak onto the onagers. Yeah. Military all tries to come and rescue it, but at that point, you've lost 3 onagers. You don't have the gold to replace that. Does save that one. But lost a lot of military. And I can see that. Yeah, I think there were chances, but I also fully understand that tap out, right? I think Pasta played a very good game. Unfortunately, wasn't able to secure those relics. I think if he had gotten those relics, he would have had a chance. But I think he knew that once he lost that chance, it was going to take so long for him to get back there, and he wouldn't have the gold. And by that point, the gold advantage would definitely show for shiXo. I do want to check just the eco. Yeah, like look at these resources, right? Just so much more resources, mostly because of those workshops. I don't think there's a way to track how much workshop came in, but like 1,500 relic gold, huge. Kind of lost too many farms. Yeah. Yeah, this raid on the right side was brutal too. Kind of resecured this left side, but that right side definitely hurt. I'm going to go grab my food from outside, and then we'll get game 5 going. So I will be right back. Switch to intermission. I will say, let's go to intermission 2. We switch over to the last thing. Show. Watch more. Game 5. But that was the best. I think that's the best pasta display this entire set. I think that was a very good set from him, and I think he had plenty of chances to win there. He just wasn't able to, which is unfortunate. But I think that was definitely his best showing. So game 5 is going to be Akure, and we'll do this and this. So Akure, I'm guessing Koreans versus Burmese. That's my guess. I will be right back. I'll grab my food. All right. So, game 5, Akure. I'm guessing Koreans, Burmese. Any other opinions? If not, we can kind of get underway, and I can go eat my food after. Hope it's not a massive, long 2-hour wood game. Let me just check Discord, make sure I'm not missing anything. Do. Check a few things. Scheduling stuff. Okay. Melee. That's great. Finishing. Oh, we might get pool tonight. Oh, I want to do this tonight. Anything from security? No. Okay, cool. Just making sure I don't have any work to do. No Civ versus Koreans. Yeah. Yeah, like that's the thing. Is like Koreans have such a strong position here, and also like getting the war wagons for free is pretty nice. I mean Burmese probably gonna be the play. I mean you could just see a Goth rush, right? Like Goths can beat anybody if they're fast enough, theoretically. So, all right, I guess let's get underway for our final game. Hoping that Pasta can take a game. I would love to see a 4-1. Love to see Pasta get on the board. But so far it's been all shiXo. So let's swap over. Let me just drink some water. All right. Welcome to game number 5 of Tarnished Deathmatch. In the orange, trying to get on the board is going to be NuclearPasta playing the Koreans. And in the teal, playing the Burmese, up 4-0, is shiXo with the Burmese. Burmese unique unit is mana per cavalry. No, Arambai. They're Arambai. That's what it is, yeah. Okay, so both players going for the early, I assume, oh, war wagons. Not going to make a, what's the sapper, not sapper, Explodey Boy. They're not going to pop the walls right away. This has to be the game for Pasta. Yeah. I mean, both players going to go with a slower start. We see champions coming out for the Burmese. These champions are pretty standard, right? No, the infantry have bonus attacks. That's really nice. And elephants. So it's going to be champion elephants. Instead, it's going to be war wagons, and then I assume just pikes. So both players kind of playing into some civ strengths there. Koreans, what infantry bonus do they get? They don't really get. Infantry costs 50 less wood, which is nice. Alright, so champions are going to do pretty well against these halberdiers, but once these war wagons get involved, and the rocket carts, which I believe are pretty solid right now. And that's kind of one of the big strengths. Of course, the war wagons do need to come join the party. The rocket cart's going to be doing a lot of damage here. And Arambai are out as well, elephants. I think shiXo's kind of going a much more aggressive route. I mean, he's been pretty consistent about being aggressive here, but I feel like, especially against Koreans, you kind of have to win early or you don't win at all. So, war wagon's going to chase off those elephants in Arambai. And halberdiers and rocket carts going to start moving forward. We want to see some siege mixed in at some point. We need to see some trebs. But it's going to be a big fight for the middle. And kind of who wins this big skirmish in the middle. Arambai going to come in here, and when units are clumped up, they're really bad against Arambai because Arambai darts super inaccurate but super high damage. So, but the rocket cart's going to melt all the Arambai. That is a massive, massive problem for shiXo, losing a bunch of unique units. Bomber Cannon's going to try to get some shots off, but the Bomber Cannon a little bit too far forward and dies to just 2 war wagons. So nice find from Pasta. Pasta getting pop cap, but at this point that's a pretty solid one. We see the expansion on the north side with docks and a castle. With this scout is the Hussars here, and we'll find the villagers, and what a great find from Pasta. Docks going up on the south, so we're going to see a lot of water play coming up from the Burmese. Mostly just try to control these middle areas. Rocket carts trying to engage here and missing all of their shots. A little bit bad micro here from Pasta. But luckily doesn't pay too much for it. Just loses a few war wagons. And now the military is close. And those rocket carts are going to do so much splash damage onto these elephants. And it's just not a good fight for shiXo. Villagers do get denied. And another villager is going to come forward. And that Hussar is going to get another kill. But now the demos start racking up. It's only regular demos. So it's not going to be quite as nice here. But Arambai going to be able to melt through all of these halberdiers. Halberdiers do get some good shots. But now the rocket cart's really going to cause some problems here with this slow-moving, clumped-up army from shiXo. Arambai trying to chase him down. Will snipe a rocket cart. But now the castles go up. Demos starting to be masked up, maybe. There was no demos just waiting off. And shiXo's out of gold. Oof. Yeah. That is going to be a problem. Those rocket carts really getting a lot of value here. 62 kills on those rocket carts. 14 on the war wagon. So the rocket cart's really providing all the value. This castle getting denied is huge. War wagon's going for raid as well. Elephant was sent up here to try to deny this. So this expansion being stopped by Pasta is really nice here. Could even snipe another villager if he's paying attention, but no, the villager walks right past. And there's no siege. Pasta, where is your trebs? Where are your rams? Please. This happened in the previous games too. We need to mix in some trebs. We need some siege in here. Bomber cannons are coming out, but it's a little bit late to push in this far in. You're doing so well, and then just nothing to back up your push. But he's still winning these fights. Has more military, has more villagers. He's looking really good. And you know what? Alright, prove me wrong, Pasta. Just rocket cart spam to take out this castle. I'm wrong. You don't need siege. Who needs trebs or bomber cannons when you just have 24 rocket carts? Crazy. Yeah, Pasta's really looking good here. Villagers are going to build this castle up here, so that is going to go up. I'm surprised these demos have all kind of missed their opportunity. They're going to be able to snipe some bomber cannons if they go in now, which is actually would still be a very good find. But losing so much production, shiXo's being knocked back on the back, but war wagons into the back of the base, try to pick off some villagers and some siege. Those war wagons kind of be thrown away. There's not a lot here for shiXo. shiXo down to 25 villagers, 25 military, losing production buildings left and right. Pasta pushing forward, has all the siege still live. War wagons still going strong. A bomber cannons need to take out that castle so they stop losing to that war wagon. But Pasta, I mean, the problem is there is still without enough siege, there is still a way that shiXo has time to build back up, right? Adding in some more bomber cannons is going to help immensely. And we even see some Fire Lancers try to deal with some of these elephants. So 4 castles to secure the foothold on the beach. Very nice. Demos, I don't know where the demos landed, but probably didn't do too much here. But yeah, shiXo has been forced all the way back onto this back area. Still super low economy, still super low military. And once this castle goes down, that is going to be a little bit rough. Erembai going to try to snipe, but I mean, you can't really snipe with an Erembai. So shiXo is spreading out, is going to try to start in kind of a safe expansion on the top, get the Dutch monastery on the top, and get the relics, which is just, at this point, you need whatever economy you can get. And without any gold. Being able to snag all those relics right away is going to be a huge boon. But, I mean, rock carts need to stop being killed. Yeah, this is the... It's hard for Pasta to lose this position, but if you're going to lose, you're going to, this is one of the ways it starts. Elephants are massed up. These rock carts need to be dealing with those elephants. War wagons are not going to be able to engage on those elephants. Rock carts finally being repositioned, but lost a bunch. That castle has 11 kills. Most of those very expensive units. So that is a problem. But, I mean, Pasta still has double the military. Rocket carts are going to come forward. Bomber cannons are going to start actually raining some of the buildings. And unfortunately, the economy has been able to be set up enough to spread around. Thank you for the sub, Otter. And hopefully you enjoy it, Pasta. And now the rocket cart's going to land some shots on these elephants. Erembai's going to come in here and try to snipe this. Good micro from Pasta. Fortunately, the gold kind of made those Erembai range path weirdly. And that Erembai aren't going to find any damage. And Halberdier is going to take them out. Bomber cannons are going to start taking out this castle. War wagon's going a little bit too far forward. Yes, it's elephants are the counter unit, but I wouldn't want to leave your rock carts too exposed. I mean, they do have 2 castles, 3 now, and some Halberdiers here. So War wagons are just going to go in and try to disrupt any kind of attempt at rebuilding the economy. Make sure that nothing too crazy is happening. And it's going to be a slow push forward, but I mean, shiXo has been able to get above 100 pop at any point. Losing all the war wagons isn't free, because it does cost resources. So it's not the best use of your war wagons, kind of just throwing them away. But 150 pop village, so a little bit more of an eco overboom, as has been tradition. And not really checking the sides. Pasta did a really good job at the start, worrying about the sides and making sure the expansions don't go up, but hasn't really checked them in a while. This TC is going to start really producing some values, start expanding there. It's still definitely tough for shiXo to come back from this, but there is glimmers of it, right? The elephants might be able to snipe some of these rock carts. 4 castles go up, and it's going to be really tough to push into and break. And so Pasta just needs to start actually dealing some more damage, take out the houses, take out the castle, make sure he has a military to support this, because he's at 160 villagers. It still has 37 queued. At this point, you just send 50 villagers forward to go batter down houses, right? So, and unfortunately, if you keep fighting 26 pop, 16 pop, elephants are going to do pretty well there. And so they're going to snipe some of these rocket carts. And Pasta's going to continue to have a villager count raise up. Not use 170 villagers. Please. War wagons in the back. Going to be able to find some raids. Good reaction from shiXo. I mean, there's not a lot going on, so shiXo is able to recover. And now the economy is starting to explode over here. Don't tell me Pasta's going to fall away from that. Like, it's still so hard. shiXo has no military left. But the bomber cannon's getting some values. But yeah, now that these bomber cannons are starting to push. This Northern Korean economy. Lots of workers achieving nothing. Yeah. So, it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough for shiXo to come back, but there is some glimmers. Like, now these bomber cannons are a little bit too far forward and they're being sniped by the castles. These castles have gotten so much value, which, like, sure, Pasta can kind of afford to, but I think even just, like, some Korean hussars here, we memed about them, but you just make a couple of hussars and you start sending them into the woodlines, you know? And you're just going to start killing, right? So, I think Pasta's just not... I mean, I think the overboom has been the biggest problem. And now the war wagon's going up north, knowing that shiXo has too much material, too many resources, is going to find some of these expansions, get a bunch of villager kills. The castle is going to cause a problem, but the war wagon's here. And find a bunch of villager kills, which is going to be huge. shiXo down to 4 military. has some resources, but not really much production to be able to do anything with. And again, these bomber cannons getting some good value. But yeah, now the trash units are going to come forward and just start kind of taking some stuff down. Bomber cannons are going to be taking this area down. Need to send a bomber cannon up here to deal with this expansion. Villagers coming forward. So I think Pasta has pretty solid, and Elephant's gonna try to chase down these bomber cannons, but yeah, it's mostly just at this point Pasta. There's a way to lose, but it is pretty tough to lose this position, and he just has to do the right things. Kind of the bare minimum he has to do, but he's losing a lot of units to these castles. Just throwing them forward. Bombard Cannon Micro is kind of the only thing that shiXo can do, so is allowed to spend all of the APM on that. Warwagon's going to come dive forward and try to snipe the Bombard Cannons. Which, like, sure, but again, you're throwing so many units away when taking out these buildings, and taking out the economy, taking out this area on the north side. Could be huge. Ehrenby's starting to build up there, but yeah, it's just a slow death. And shiXo's losing more and more space. I would love to see a castle down here or even on the hill, just to make sure he doesn't expand. We do see the War Wagon over here to make sure that the gold isn't being taken. And shiXo taps out. And Pasta takes a game. Very well done from Pasta. You could argue Koreans have a massive advantage, but he played that early rush very well. Landed some very good rocket cart shots. And got the siege when he needed to. Managed to take out that castle with the rocket carts, despite not having any actual siege. And that allowed him to push into the base. I think if he'd added a Trevor too, it'd be a little bit faster, a little bit less dicey. But he played that one really well and pretty dominating Game 5 win. And gets him on the board. So well done from both players. Pasta had a couple really good games. Some not so much. But, you know, there's a lot of good play from here. So I'm mostly disappointed that the Hyper Random game was a boring generation. But otherwise, a very fun set. Very enjoyable to watch. GG's. And hopefully we get more. Holy shit, I'm getting multiple Band Invaders.